Hello, hello. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. I'm excited to see you guys. All right, so I'm going to let people hop on and we're going to get started. I'm actually doing something a little different today, and I'm going to be telling you guys a little bit about my story and why I do what I do. I think that's kind of important for you guys to know, don't you think? Um, so, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. Many of you know that I'm healing from surgery, and I told you I would give you an update. Normally, I go live on my group. So if you are not part of the group yet, you've got to join the group. It's Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. All you got to do is stick it in the search section and make sure you join, okay? Because I am going to be kind of transferring things over to there and not going live so much here on the page because it's more like for everybody, where the group is specific to my people. So if you want to be one of my people, then make sure that you join the group at Autism Mama Rocks the IEP group, and all you got to do is stick it in the search bar. So make sure you share this. That's number one, okay? And number two, make sure you post a 1 below, all right? A 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, okay? If it's your third plus time, you are an oldie but goodie and you guys know what to do. You post a 2 below, okay? So a 1 below if it's your first through third time, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure you guys say hi. I want you guys to say hi, okay? I want to get to know you. And see, that's what the group's all about too, is everybody kind of knows each other and is getting to know each other. And it's made for a really amazing, amazing, amazing group. So I want to show you guys my shirt. Look at this shirt. I love it. Okay, let me see what it says in the back. Unbreakable, right? All of us need this shirt. Look, I'm like going backward. So it's Autism Mom, and then it says Unbreakable. I love this. This is totally me. All right, look. My thing's all funky. I hate these stupid things, right? Don't you guys hate those? All right. So, hey, Michelle. Hey, Kim, Maria, Kelly Ann. Welcome, welcome. So as you guys know, I'm healing from surgery, which is horrible. It sucks. And I just found out because of a complication, I have to have another surgery. They're going to let me know tomorrow or the next day if it's going to be on Friday. It's not exciting at all. And that's going to really take a lot of time to bounce back from. But I will be back on here as soon as possible. And we will get this going and keep this going, right? But life happens. And so we got to take a break and then come back. But I promise I'm going to be posting a lot. I'm going to be, messaging. Everybody's personal message to me while I've been healing with things going on now. And granted, I put my face on, but let me tell you, I am so swollen right now, you guys would not even believe. So with that said, for those of you who don't know me, again, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time, 3 and above, post a 2 below. You guys are oldie but goodie. You guys know what to do. Make sure you guys join the group. It's such an awesome group, okay? And if you want people to be able to, just ask questions, not feel weird, just know that people have got your back and that you're not the only one feeling or thinking that way. I can't tell you, and I'm going to tell you this in my story, that, so many of us think that, when I used to teach, I used to tell my students there's no stupid question. And usually the questions that people think are stupid are the best questions. And so don't ever feel that, when you're over in the group, if you ask a question, that it's stupid or you're the only one that doesn't know, because that's so not true. Okay? So definitely post those questions, and there's no negativity over there anyway. So you're going to feel like home. I think this week I just posted it 2 minutes ago. Look, it's crazy. Last week was 126 people. And this week, I just welcomed 112 people to the group. It's crazy. So Autism Mama Rocks IEP group, just stick it in the search bar and make sure you join. All right, so post a 1 below if you're new, first through third time, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure you share, okay? and we're gonna get started. You can also, all you oldies but goodies, I don't want 50 million of them up there, but if you want to do a watch party over in the group, because you guys know they always want to, be seeing this stuff and they can't always catch it. So make sure you can, do a watch party over there if you want to do that. All right, so, wow. Okay, so I'm going to tell my story. So my daughter's 15. All right, she has autism and she has dyslexia. Okay, I actually recently just found out that she has dyslexia. All right, and so back in the day, when she was 2, is when she started special education. All right, so being a teacher, I knew at 3 to 6 months something was up. At 3 months, she got viral meningitis and was in the hospital for some time. And then at about 4 or 5 months, I noticed that, in her swing, she was looking up at the ceiling fans and wasn't giving eye contact. And you guys know the rest, and it's history. So, and then she had multiple ear infections, which, believe it or not, autism, ear infections, and all those types of things are correlated in some way, shape, or form. Why? Nobody knows. Just like nobody knows why it went from 13 years ago, all right, when she was 2, maybe it was when she was born, 15. So between 13 and 15 years ago, the numbers were 1 in 150 children born today were born with autism. Well, do you know now, or at least last year, I haven't really checked as of recent, but last year it was 1 in 55. That's insane. But nobody can say, oh, it's because of XYZ. Now people have these hypothetical thought processes of, my child changed when they got this or did this or that happened or whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm the type of parent where I'm like, I don't know. I did the DNA type testing. It wasn't my husband or I, so it wasn't hereditary. I have 2 typical children before I had Skylar. So it's interesting, and then I know many families who have multiple children within that family who have children with special needs. So it's just interesting that, we just don't know. And it's not something that, I believe is going to happen anytime soon. So she was diagnosed with autism, I want to say about 2.5. At 6 months, she was in what's called the early intervention kind of program that was for babies. It was like 6 months to when they can go to school, which was at 2. And so she did OT, PT during that time. And then at 2 years old, she was able to qualify, and she went into the school system in early childhood special education, and she was there part day, and she received speech, OT, and PT. And then, of course, transitioned into kindergarten, and that's when my journey started. When she was little, she was just a baby. I didn't really pay attention between 2 and 5, and I didn't know anything to pay attention to anyway, other than I knew that, she needed help, and I knew that she needed speech and OT, and that she had, started things late. My other 2 children, started walking at like 1. My son walked at like 13, 14 months. He was a late bloomer. And then Skylar didn't walk until she was about 16 to 18 months. It was a long time ago. So it was somewhere in there. She wasn't potty trained until she had intensive potty training through BCBA. And it was over a 3-day period of time, and it was intense. I had to get out of the way, and it was her throwing fits and meltdowns, and it was horrible, but it worked. So if you can put up with that, and I did, it is worth it because she was potty trained. So when she started kindergarten, I am that type of parent where I just had gut feelings, And so when she was in kindergarten, she was in a gen ed classroom, and it just didn't work. And so she was then put into a special ed classroom, And she was in a classroom with students that didn't, their needs were different from hers. She's not physical in any way. She's not hyper in any way. So as a mom, I always just wanted to protect her. And there were kids in the classroom, you know, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this. Hang on. Where I felt like it was a danger to her because they were kind of everywhere and, you know, just nonstop, you know. And a little while after that, she was hurt, and it was not pretty, you know. The school did apologize back then and even sent me a letter, which was crazy, you know. That's unheard of these days. Definitely didn't happen after that. And then, you know, she started doing things like, as she was first, second, third grade, you know, she started cutting her clothes, but she had a one-on-one. Where were you? You know? And so then she was doing things that were unsafe, like escape and running, and there were just multiple safety issues, even though she had a one-on-one. And so when I would go to IEP meetings, I didn't know what to do. You know, I remember my first IEP meeting. She was 5, and I remember feeling like I was prepared. You know, one of my friends had a child Skylar's age, and she said, you know, she kind of got me prepared. I had my great big huge, you know, those 4-inch, 5-inch binders. I had pulled everything and the kitchen sink off the internet, and I knew my stuff. Back then it was all about, you know, the biomedical. It was all about, you know, what autism was. Kind of the Jenny McCarthy days is when Skylar was just going through all of this. And so it was an interesting time, but going to the IEP meetings with these binders, thinking, and I'm not a stupid person, you know, I have master's degrees, 2 of them. I'm a teacher, and, you know, I wasn't stupid, but I was with this completely. And I did not know that having all this research and paperwork and coming to the table and saying, well, my child needs this and this and this and this, and you need to give her more speech and more OT and all these accommodations because I had read about it, it didn't work. And I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. I couldn't figure out why my basically plea to the school of my child needs this. And she did. And they knew she did. But they didn't admit it. They didn't give the service. They didn't give the accommodation. She did end up having a one-on-one from the get-go because of safety. So that was kind of a hands down, and I was lucky in that sense. But as far as other things, I wasn't so lucky. And I just remember going to IEP meetings and getting so angry that they weren't listening to me. They weren't hearing me. They weren't processing what I was saying to them. And it was kind of like, you just want to scream at the top of your lungs. What are you not understanding? This is what is going on. This is why she's doing these things. You're saying she's doing all these things and cutting her clothes and this, that, and the other, but yet you're not handling it appropriately. If you did this, then she wouldn't do it. Where's the one-on-one when they're supposed to be with her at every minute of every day, which is what is in the IEP, you know? And they never would answer that. They always would kind of skip over that. And I'm on that stuff forever now, you know, like I catch that stuff so quick now, it's not even funny. And I think I told you guys the last time I came live, I have 2 different attorneys on me right now. They did a complete 180 from wanting to attack me from my first email to now just complete 180. 180. Because I know my stuff. But I'll tell you, back then, guys, I had no idea. I fought and fought and fought. I wore my own self out. I'd leave crying and upset. And the only reason I'm not crying now is because of how well she's doing. She's actually at Linda Mood Bell through August of this year. And she's doing amazing. But it wasn't like that. There was so many times that I would tell my story and I couldn't help but cry because it was just so emotional. And I would cry because those feelings would come up every time I talked about them, you know? So even though it could be resolved, may not be resolved, or is still pending, I would cry in discussing anything pertaining to Skylar and her IEP because it was so emotional. And I would remember the IEP meeting and how it was just so emotionally taxing. I would prepare beforehand and think that I had everything together, but I didn't. And the reason, I'm going to get to the reason, but I didn't have everything together. I thought that getting things from the internet was what I needed, that getting outside sources to help me would be what I needed. And then I would go argue as the mother based on Google information in reference to how I felt and what I knew was wrong, and it didn't work. So ask yourself, have you ever known something's wrong or something needs to happen differently, and you reach out and you Google whatever it is, what's going on with your child, and you pull it up off the internet, you print it out basically as proof of, look, you know, it's true. How I'm feeling is true. This is how children with autism act, or this is how children with ADHD act. This is normal. You need to give my child XYZ. See, it says it on Google, you know, and that's how I would approach arguing, even though, guys, it is right what we feel and know about our children because we know them best is right. It's never going to work when it comes to arguing, really, my PPPN system, the two other P's, which is present and persuade. Those are so important. You have to be able to present yourself in the right way and persuade them to do what needs to happen. Why? Because it is needed and appropriate for your child and their unique needs, okay? And based off their impact of disability. So taking a step back, I remember in one IEP meeting, this was a different director of special education that was in play at the time. And I remember ripping up an IEP in her face. Back then, I signed the IEPs at the IEP meeting, as you guys should know now. That's a big, big, big no-no. You never do that. And I just was so frustrated at the fact that nothing I said was working. And like I said, the only thing that was given that is difficult to get at times now is a one-on-one because she had safety issues. But everything else was a struggle. Everything else was a fight. I was just the pain in the ass mom. That's all that was. So I left meetings so upset and defeated and sad and crying, and I needed a drink, and I was just upset. And I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out what I was doing wrong. I had no idea. And I would talk about it to people and talk about it to people. And of course, you'd get all these different thoughts and opinions and so forth. And it wasn't that they were wrong, but many times it didn't help because their situation or what was going on with them or what they had to say had nothing to do with my daughter, or the situations were different, or, you know, the argument of what's going on was different. And so that's something you want to keep in mind is you want to support each other. You want to be there for each other. That's what my group is all about. But at the same time, you have to understand that IEPs are based off your child's individual needs and what the impact of disability is in the educational setting. It is not about the impact of disability at home. It's not about the impact of disability at daycare or anywhere else. It's solely about what's going on in school. Many times the school will skew this and say, oh, they're not doing that here, when you know good and well that they are. And that's a challenge, and that has to be ironed out, and there's ways to go about that. We're not talking about that today, but that can be a challenge, and that is something that is done. And it's important to remember that the struggle is not us. It's not that we're stupid or we don't know, because all we're doing is advocating for a child in the only way that we know, which is to argue about what they need, what's appropriate for them, what we know that they need as their parents. And unfortunately, in this process, everything that you know, everything that you feel, everything that you believe is right, everything that you think that you should do is not what should happen. Now let me explain that. When I had my aha moment, all right, let me stop real quick. So anybody that's joining, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time joining me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. And make sure to share and make sure to join the group, which is Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. You can put it in the search bar. And also click notifications, or you're never going to know when I go live. Okay? And I see everybody, Christina and Kim and Dorothy and Michelle and Maria and Kelly Ann, and Elizabeth and Tess. Welcome. And hi, Jessica and Christy. Is it Chastity? Awesome. Hello, hello. So yes, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, okay? So going back to everything that you know that you need to throw out the window, and everything that you want to say because you're the mom and you know what's best, throw that out the window too. And realize, hi Lori, and Patty, welcome, welcome. Make sure that you have to change your mindset. It's crazy, all right? It's like therapy, all right? So you have to change your mindset, all right? You can't look at the IEP process and succeed in trying to be their friend. I'm not saying enemy, I'm saying their friend. So unless you are their friend, which you go out to dinner, you go to the movies with them, you hang out at home together, whatever, you go to the park. So unless you're friends, you're business associates. All right? You got to think about it like that. You have to. Okay? I went through my process of figuring it out to my aha moment that no one gave to me. I had to learn it. All right? You know, I've thought about going to law school. All right? And then I'm actually in one of the 4 states, that California, Virginia, Vermont, and New York. All right? You can actually, if you have a master's degree, you can actually apprentice under a lawyer for 3 years, and then you can take the bar. So I've thought about doing that, but I'm so over school, I don't want to do it. But here's the thing about law school or lawyers, etc. There is no course, okay, in law school that teaches about special education. Nothing, okay? So lawyers who do special education learned it on their own. So they either know the law or they don't. They know the law, but they either know special ed law or they don't. But they learned it on their own. They didn't learn it in law school. Okay? That's how I learned it as well. I learned it on my own, making a crap ton of mistakes, falling on my face, my daughter not making progress, the school system failing her. I felt like I failed her. I was crying all the time. I was an emotional mess. It ruined relationships within my household at the time. It was stressful for my husband and I. It was stressful for my other two children, who are now 24 and 20, who felt jealousy because Skylar got all the attention. And everything was focused on Skylar because that's all I could focus on, because it was consuming me. I wanted what was best for her, and it wasn't happening, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me what the hell I needed to do. And nobody could help me because nobody else really knew. And it wasn't something that's just given to you in a freaking book, you know? And, you know, I've mentored under Pete Wright, and, you know, I'm a member of COPA, and I collaborate with different people all the time. But the thing is nothing is just handed to you. And it wasn't handed to me. So after 6.5 years, the light bulb finally went on, off, on, whatever. And I woke up and I had this aha moment of figuring out how this worked. And it wasn't how human beings think. It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite of be kind to one another, care about each other, love one another, treat others how you want to be treated. It wasn't like that. It was the opposite of that. It was be evil is kind of how I felt. Really, what I mean by that is I had to learn to play a game and play it better than them. And that's just the hardcore truth. All right? Now, that's not saying that some people have it easier than others. That's not saying that some people's situation are different than others. But I also realized that in working with so many clients through the years, through the 14 years that I've done this, a lot of the people that have said, oh, everything's good, we get along great, they're taking care of everything. Once I've actually looked at their stuff, it's not great. Their IEP is not great, but they think it is because everything's hunky-dory and everybody's getting along, and they're being told certain things and they feel like they're privileged because the teacher's calling them or, you know, texting them or whatever, which you should never, ever do. Never text and never, ever pick up the phone unless it has to do with your child's at the nurse's office or, you know, there's something going on that you need to be contacted for. Because if it's not in writing, it never happened. And even if things are good, they don't always stay that way. I hope they do. But if they don't, and a lot of times they don't, if it's not in writing, it never happened. And I cannot tell you how many parents I talk with every single day. Many of my clients, you know, I'm like, they'll be telling me, you know, situations that they're going through and things that click really quick. Oh, do you have a copy of that? Do you have that in writing? No. Then they'll talk some more and tell me situations and tell me violations that have happened. And I'll say, oh, do you have that in writing? No. And that's the problem. So I learned several things. All right. If you want to write this down, you can. All right. One, when you go into an IEP meeting, you have to completely change who you are. So you go from, you know, I'm a pretty straight shooter anyway, all right? But a lot of people aren't like that. You know, recently I was hired by a client who said, I am not like you. I am very reserved and I'm not an argumentative person. And which I didn't take offensively at all because she wasn't saying you're argumentative, but she knew that I'm a go-getter and I have no problems. If I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, but it's not personal, okay? It's not personal. It's not ever personal. It's not ever personal to the school. And that's what has to be understood. It's not personal. This is about my kid. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but it's not personal. I'm not going to not hurt your feelings and not say what I need to say. I'm going to say what I need to say. So anyway, the parent said, I'm just not like that. I'm not confrontational and I don't know how to do this and get it done. I need my child to have what she needs and I don't know what to do. I just don't know how to do it. So, you know, it was a wake-up call for me too, because even though I am a go-getter, and I was back in the day when for 6.5 years I failed. 6.5 years I wasted. 6.5 years I wasted that my daughter suffered because I didn't know my stuff. And had I learned my stuff quicker, and had there been somebody to just help me and help me figure out what I needed to do, even if it was something that was outside what I thought was really what I was supposed to do. You know, I was willing to learn another way to get it right for her. And that's what you guys need to hear. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to relay to you is, yeah, I went through 6.5 years of hell. I went through 6.5 years that were wasted. And had I known something different, they would not have been wasted, or 6.5 years would not have been wasted. And I wouldn't have relied on Google research, scholarly and, you know, just Google, and thinking that, associating that to what's going on with my daughter, and then me as a parent arguing that would be enough, because it wasn't enough and it didn't work at all. So I had to learn, even though I'll tell you, driving to IEP meetings beforehand, I thought I, you know, reviewed, okay, properly. And I remember driving each time to IEP meetings, and as forward as I am, I would feel sick to my stomach, like really kind of, my stomach would hurt, you know, and I'd feel like, you know, oh my gosh, this sucks, you know, because when my anxiety spikes, it's like, you know, your stomach's upset. You're like, okay, am I going to be in the meeting and I'm going to have to go to the bathroom? Like, I mean, I'm just keeping it real. That's how bad my stomach would hurt, because I was so distraught and my anxiety was through the roof. And I realized in this change of that aha moment of figuring things out and what I needed to do to really fight, to really do what I needed to do so that my daughter got what she needed, was when I walked into that building and I walked into that meeting, I was no longer Raven on the outside. I wasn't. Totally different person. It's like putting the mask on. All right? And letting them know from the get-go. When I teach this in my course, all right, autism, it's called Rock the IEP. It's my big course. And I teach the whole process from beginning to end. And I explain how it's so important to be able to put that mask on, and you walk into that room and you say, this isn't personal. I just want you guys to know that. And I want you to know that this is solely about my daughter. I let that be known right away. Okay. Now, does that mean that they didn't take something personally? Yeah, they did. Okay. Especially in one of my IEP meetings where they blatantly lied to me, and I brought Skylar down to the room to show she couldn't do what they said that she could do. And I then flipped shit and let that person know exactly how I felt, exactly what they did, and it was a big issue. But long story short, you have to change who you are when you walk into that room, all right? It can't be where you're not going to speak up for yourself or your child. It can't be where you're worried about arguments or confrontation. You can't be worried and have fear control you in that room, or now virtually. Okay? Fear is one of those contenders that will ruin and rule your life. Fear of anything, not just the IEP process. Do not let fear affect your child's education because it affects you. Because you're scared that something is going to happen. Recently, because of COVID, a lot of attorneys are on top of things. And so, when I'm sending first emails, a lot of attorneys are coming back and addressing things with me versus the school system. It's interesting. And I'll go back and forth with them, and I immediately know what to say, how to say it, and why, because I know my laws. And I've realized in the past month, actually, with attorneys being on top of things for the schools, that many of them don't know their stuff as well as they should. And it's unfortunate because, if you're going to come at me, you need to know your stuff. But at the end of the day, you don't need to come at me, because if you're about the student and about what's needed and appropriate for them, let's work this out. Let's figure it out together, because that's all it's about. And that's all I'm in it for. And you need to go into the IEP meetings knowing your child's present levels, knowing your child's baseline of where they are right then and there, knowing what their goals are and making sure that they correlate to the present levels, that they're appropriate for your child, and they actually challenge them and do not actually keep them where they are or minimally challenge them. So if you know how to look at a baseline of where your child is presently, that's, I know my child can do 1-digit subtraction. All right. So that's your kind of baseline. So the goal, present levels, could be you're working on double-digit subtraction. And then a goal can then be brought to the table in regards to that. Sarah will do a 2-digit subtraction, all right, with carrying over, okay, and 9 out of 10 trials at 90% accuracy as measured by report data collection by such and such date. And, it's important, because if you don't have a baseline to go off of, you can't create present levels because you have no idea where you started. Okay? Present levels is not the baseline. Okay? Where did the child start so that now you have these present levels to go off of to where you can create goals? That's how you can actually measure progress. You have to be able to measure progress. Your child has to make progress in lieu of their circumstance. So I realized that, number one, I had to put my face on. Number two, I had to keep it business-like. I was in a business meeting as the CEO, okay? You're the CEO, you're the parent, you're the number one person there, okay? And I'm just going to be frank, and I don't care who is on here. I am an educator. I have multiple degrees, but guess what? Who cares? Because a parent could be a stay-at-home mom. She didn't get to go to college because of whatever happened in her life. And guess what? She's still an intelligent human being and knows her child better than any of the staff at the school. So she is the CEO of that meeting. Okay? She knows what her child can do. Or him, dad. Okay, I'm not leaving y'all out. Or grandparents. So there's no taking that away. And that's why I will argue about assessments and evaluations of them deciding, as the experts, what assessments and evaluations are appropriate for my child in reference to my child's deficits. No, we will collaborate on that, because you are not the expert on my child. I am. You know my child and may know their present levels if you wrote the IEP accurately and adequately. However, you are not the expert just because you went and got a bachelor's degree. I got 2 master's degrees. So what makes you the expert and I'm not the expert? Or what makes you the expert and the parent not the expert? Because they know that child better than you do. And I don't care if you have a PhD in rocket science. So bottom line, parents, you have got to step up to the plate. You have got to really get it together when you walk into that meeting. I don't care if you are quiet and passive and just the sweetest person ever, like many of my parents, when you walk out that door. But when you walk into that darn meeting, you do what you need to do to put on that mask, meaning not mask as in not be you, but that mask as in you're going to go for it. Nothing's getting in your way. You are no bullshit at that point because that's what you got to do. There's no going in there, guys, and being friends. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and it doesn't work long term. It may work at the present for a period of time because they want to get you and gather you in, okay? And once they got you, then that's when in that mix of stew, once they got you, that's when problems start happening. And I'm not talking about always or never, okay? I'm not an always and never person. I'm talking about for the most part, okay? And I wouldn't be so overwhelmed and drowning right now, literally, if these weren't problems happening today, okay? I get books of texts and DMs sent to me every day of parents pleading of what do I do? And it's frustrating, not them PMing me, but frustrating that these are the things that are happening today. That from when 15 years ago when Skylar started school, that things have gotten worse, not better. I mean, what is happening here? And it's frustrating that I'm having to teach you to be crazy people because that's what works. I mean, that's insane. It sounds insane. I sound insane. And yet, I'm telling you anyway. Because it's true. And you just got to go with it. You just do. And you cannot let, here's one thing that's happened recently, is you cannot let the school systems threats that they'll throw out there deter you. A lot of times they're calling your bluff. And even if they're not, who cares? Take it on. Do what you got to do for your child, no matter what. Look at it like this. Win or lose, I'm going to do whatever the hell I got to do for my child. Period. You got to look at it like that. And then you do everything within your power to make sure that you win. You got me? But you got to have the attitude of, you know what? Win or lose, bring it. And when you got that attitude and you have that force of nature behind you, there is nothing that can take you down. Because school systems are bringing you down. They're giving you stress and heartache and frustration. And you're feeling, I had a parent say, that she got sick to her stomach. And, I have another, parent who said, I am 6 months pregnant and I just feel like I just can't deal with this, that I need to just leave it alone because I feel like, I'm pregnant right now, I mean, that shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't. So how I look at it is we shouldn't feel guilty for being, I'm just going to call it as it is, so get off my group and page if you don't like it, becoming royal bitches because the school systems make us do that. And okay, let me take that back a little bit, all right? I am one, I taught my children this. No one can make you do anything, all right? You choose to do it. You make the choice. Whether it's a good choice or a bad choice, we all make mistakes. We all make good choices. We all make bad choices, and we all have to live with the consequence. It is what it is, right? But at the same time, in certain situations such as this, that we have to fight for our children, that's different than if we made a decision to do A or B. Do you know what I mean? So in this situation, we are almost forced, actually many times we are forced to do things that we may or may not want to do in regards to supporting and advocating for our child because we're put in that position of we either do this or our child doesn't make progress and we get nowhere. And we look at things, I've had parents start looking at things like this. You either take it on now or you're going to be dealing with it for a long time. Because many of my parents have younger kids. Some of them have high school kids and so forth. But bottom line, do you want to take it on now? Or do you want to sit and deal with this shit for years to come? You've got to put your mind in the place where you're ready. All right? You got to be ready. It's kind of like smoking, I guess. You know, for people who smoke, I used to smoke. So I think January 2nd, yeah, because I was determined not to quit on January 1st. Because I was like, screw those, New Year's resolutions. That's just my personality. So January 2nd this year will be 8 years that I quit. But bottom line, I dropped my highlighter. Bottom line, I remember when I quit just about 8 years ago that I said I wanted to quit for like 3-4 years before that. So I want to quit smoking. 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 Yeah, I'm going to quit smoking. The more I said I was going to quit smoking, the more I smoked. And it's like that, like I said, this January 2nd will be 8 years that I quit. But guess what? I quit when I was good and ready to quit. Not because not because my husband said it stunk, not because my kids hated that I smoked, not because of any other reason than Raven Woods wanted to quit. I wanted to quit. I was ready. Same thing here. You have to be done. Okay? It's not a matter of, is your IEP horrific or is your IEP so-so? Your IEP needs to be on point. Not so-so, not horrific. Procedural and substantive violations should not be happening like they are. And parents let it go because they don't know. And school systems keep doing it because they know they're getting away with it. I have a school system. I'm going to tell you who they are. Temecula, California. Let me tell you. We had 2 IEPs meetings. And the lady who was the admin designee, we went at it in regards to the student having a one-on-one. She finally agreed to the student having a one-on-one. I have her on recording. Word for word. Transcribed, too. Then she sends a PWN to the parents saying that she denied it. Oh, yeah. This recently happened. Now, my state complaint, the 18 pages, all of this is noted along with other things. But those are the things that are happening. And for a second, I'm going to speak to some of you that want everything to be good, want everything to be happy, where I get it. I do too. But at the same time, it's not always like that. And are you willing to allow things like that to happen and just let it go? Because you're afraid of what challenging them would do? And I mean challenge them. I don't mean call them up. I don't mean ask for another IEP meeting. I mean challenge them for what they did so that they're accountable for what they did. Along with, of course, you have another IEP meeting. So don't waste the 6.5 years that I wasted. Don't, from here forward, not be knowledgeable. Okay? I don't care who it is that you learn from. It can be me. It can be somebody else that you may know and respect, that hopefully you know that they know their stuff. But make sure it's someone who knows their stuff, that has a record of knowing their stuff and getting things done. And make sure that you know how to put on your face and you know how to go after the school with everything you got, because you're all your child's got. And it's up to you and I to do what we need to do to make sure that our children get everything that they need in the educational setting based on their individual needs, based on their unique needs, based on their impact of disability, and not be fed the BS of, oh, they don't do that here in the school system. That doesn't happen here. He's great. Nothing's a problem. Or you'll have a history of things in the IEP. You'll have a history of things that are in progress reports that you'll find. And that's why I'm so persistent in letting you guys know, look at your IEPs, read them, memorize them, read the present levels, look at the present levels and compare them to your goals. Do they match? Or are there not enough present levels? Or, here's something that I find a lot. In the present levels, it'll say, oh, he likes recess. Oh, he likes to color. Oh, he likes to do this. That is not a present level. A present level has a strength, it has a weakness, and it says what the strength is and what they're doing, and says what the weakness is and what that is, so that you can then make goals off of that weakness. Not that they like recess or cake and ice cream. I don't care. I already know that. Thank you for telling me. I want to know what the weakness is in school. All right? I'm so tired of educators, really admins, not so much teachers. I don't want to hear about that my child's good at recess, or he eats all his lunch, or anything else. That she dresses. Here's one. Here's a good one. Skylar dresses nice every day. Awesome. I know. I'm the one who buys her clothes. Tell me something I don't know. I get. Let me give you some positive before I talk about XYZ. I get it. As a teacher, I didn't do that. I didn't sugarcoat things to parents. Parents appreciated that. He's doing this, he's really good at this, and this is why, and he's not doing good at this, and this is why, and I'd get their input and we'd figure it out. But back then, when I taught, it actually worked that way. It wasn't teachers having to teach for the students to pass the state assessments and, different things like that, where there's so much stress put on teachers that they're quitting and they're not wanting to teach anymore, and it's not fun anymore. I'm on tons of teacher sites. You got your teachers that are really good teachers, and you have your teachers that are just like, this isn't worth it anymore because of all the stress put on them. So long story short, I want you guys to succeed. And more than wanting you to succeed, I want your children to get everything that's needed for them. Everything they deserve, okay? And it's such a pet peeve of the bullshit that's fed. If there's anybody on here from administration, please stop feeding parents bullshit. Parents are getting more educated, and we're seeing through everything now. Start trying to work together. Owning it if you're wrong. Taking responsibility for it and giving the parents suggestions of what you're going to do and recommendations on what you're going to do to change the IEP in accordance to what the child really needs and what's appropriate for them. That's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear the bullshit. Who wants to hear bullshit? All that does is create distrust. If you want to really work together as a team, come to the parent with something substantial, like, hey, Sarah's not doing good in math. Something's not working here. She's not making progress. Oh my God. Oh my God. Could a school system actually admit that? I wouldn't hold a school system accountable if they came to me immediately and said that. Because guess what? Students struggle in certain things. But you want to lie to me? You want to lie and not say what the issue is because you don't want to say my child's not making progress? then we're going to have a problem. Then you create distrust. Then you cause problems for years. Versus saying, hey, Sarah's not making progress in math. We need to come together and figure this out. She may need extra assistance and direct assistance, or she may need a remedial math program, or whatever the case may be. But guess what? Schools aren't doing that. Why? Because administrators are saying, we don't have enough people. We don't have enough staff. We can't do that. Well, I don't care. So if you don't have enough staff at the time, or within your school system staff that work directly for the school, then what do you have to do? You guys know what you're supposed to do. You hire from the outside. You contract them in. You actually have to spend money. And you have to do the work to find somebody qualified to help the student. All right, guys. I want you guys to really think about this, all right? I want you guys to think about what it is you need to do to change face when you walk into that room. Not change who you are, change what you do, okay? I'm not going to be passive. I'm not going to be, whatever your personality is, okay? So if you're a go-getter like me and no bullshit and you have no problem, I don't like to argue, but I will. I don't want to fight with you, but I will. But there's lots of personalities that are not like that at all. Confrontation is scary to them. Confrontation is not something that they want to take part in. And I get that. Totally get that. All right? My oldest is like that. You want to argue with her, she's going to run. Wants no part to arguing. All right? We're complete opposites. But that's okay. It doesn't matter what your personality is. You just have to know that when you walk into that room or go on virtually, that it's got to change. Your mindset's got to change. How you do things has got to change. How you plan and prepare, my PPPN system, how you plan and prepare is going to be the sole factor on how you present and persuade. And I always say negotiate only if you have to. Okay? Don't be afraid to leave that meeting and put in an email for another meeting. Yeah, literally right then and there. I have literally been in a meeting and gotten on my phone and put in a request for another meeting right there in the meeting. Don't be afraid to do that. They got to meet with you typically within 30 days. Don't be afraid to keep going back to that table. That is number one of what I did in changing everything that has gone on. That stopped. That was one of the things that stopped my 6.5 years of hamster wheel and not getting anywhere. I want you guys to be successful. If you need my help, I'm here to help you. If you need thought process, you need to brainstorm, you need help going after the school. A lot of my parents have said, I need to see what you're doing so that I can go do it. Totally get that. And I'm the same way. Hi, Sky. Yeah. All right, go put it down. I begged you outfit. You did. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. What was I saying, guys? She threw me off. I don't remember. Unless somebody wants to tell me. Bottom line, you want to make sure that you stop the hamster wheel. You want to make sure that you focus on getting your child what's needed and appropriate. You need to make sure you become the CEO of that IEP meeting. Recently, I had a message come in to me with a school system who said, here's agenda of what we're going to talk about in the IEP meeting. You can take y'all's agendas and take a hike. I will never, ever be presented an agenda. Ever. That is called a facilitated IEP meeting. I don't participate in them. I don't choose to participate in them, nor do I have to. So know that. If they present you with an agenda, say, thank you for providing the agenda, however, I'm not going to follow it. Nor do I have to. Nor is there any policy or law that states I have to follow your agenda, because guess what? I'm just as much a part of the team as you, and I don't agree. Okay? Now, I understand that our IEP needs to flow. I'm very good at making it flow. However, I'm not following their agenda. Not doing it. All right? So know that. Know how to challenge them. When they send you an agenda, say, I'm not going to participate in your agenda. Then they're going to come back and say, well, we have to do that. And, we have to have a flow and it keeps things respectful and da-da-da-da-da. And then you come back with, well, there's no policy and law on that. I understand that things need to flow and I respect that. And these are the things that we're going to talk about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your flow. That's why I requested this meeting. That's what we're talking about. Now you know. Now you can be prepared. But I'm not following your agenda. So I get the flow. Okay? But I'm not going to let them dictate to me what I'm talking about, how I'm talking about it, when I can talk about it, what time I can talk about it, and for how long I can talk about it. Not happening. Okay? You're not going to control any of that. An IEP meeting, here's one thing. I'm going to leave you with this. Don't ever, 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 ever let a school system tell you that XYZ in reference to your child, whether that be an evaluation, an IEE, a reevaluation, a progress report, an IEP, whatever it is, the IEP, whatever. Do not allow them to tell you, this has been recent, from a lawyer. We can't discuss that in an IEP, is what she said. So I was a smart ass. So I responded back and I said, oh, okay, are we going to lunch? Where are we talking about this? Because anything can be talked about in an IEP. Unless we're going to lunch or dinner or out for drinks, it's talked about in the damn IEP. But she had the audacity to tell me that that wasn't something that was discussed in an IEP meeting. Okay, where the hell does it happen? Is there some other building or place or time or... that just threw me. But these are the things that are fed to parents that many believe. And it's not a your fault thing. Because if you don't know, you don't know. So I want you to know. I want you to get really, really proficient in this. To the point where bullshit is not going to get past you. Ever again. Okay? Stick with me. I can promise you. Bullshit is not going to get past you anymore. All right? Or you're going to be like, well, I'm going to call Raven. I'm going to text Raven and find out if this is true. Because I'm over the bullshit. Just be transparent, people. It's okay if you make a mistake. We can understand that. But don't bullshit me. Right? Don't you agree? All right. That's enough for a Sunday, right? So, if you're just coming on and you're catching me talking about bullshit, post a 1 below if you're new, your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. I see all of your comments. I promise I'm going to message you guys this evening and comment back. I see you, Lori and Cindy and Lindsay and Veronica and Marlene, Jessica, Elizabeth, is it Madilli, Lucy, Leah, Yasmin, Patty. Okay, so Paula, welcome. Christina, hey. Tony, okay, so you guys know I love you guys, okay? And I hear you and I see your questions and I'm going to respond. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm going out to dinner with my family, but I am going to respond, okay? Second, I'm doing a Q&A over on my group on Tuesday. Okay? So it more than likely, all right, hold on. It more than likely will be around, I can't do evenings a lot because I swell from my surgery and typically evenings are rough. So normally I do my Q&As at about 8 o'clock. If I can, I will. But more than likely it will be around 11 and 12 or 3:30. All right? So click notifications here, click notifications over in the group, and you'll know when I go live. If not, you'll catch the replay. But that's when I'm there. I don't talk about anything other than, well, okay, I talk about stuff. I always talk about stuff. But it's where you get to have the floor, okay? You get to ask questions. I then respond, okay? And I go through as many questions as I possibly can in an hour and a half, okay? So that's Tuesday. Go on the search, Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. Join the group, Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. That is where the Q&A will be on Tuesday, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed today. I know that I'm a force of nature. All right. I know I'm a go-getter. I know that I'm not going to be for everybody, and I'm okay with that. But the one thing I can promise you is you're going to become knowledgeable. You're going to not want to deal with the bullshit, or who does? I mean, who does? And you're going to figure out how to get what's needed and appropriate for your child, because really at the end of the day, it's not about you and it's not about me. It's about your child or children and getting them what's needed and appropriate for them to make progress in the educational setting, period. And to help them in preparing for adulthood, all right? And being as successful and productive as they possibly can be. And having low expectations is not on the table for me. I will have high expectations for your child. I expect you to have high expectations for your child, and getting them what's needed and appropriate is all I want, so that their needs are met and they can make progress. All right. Have a wonderful evening. I love you guys. I do. Post a 1 below if you're new, first through third time, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure to say hi. I will get back to you on your questions that you all have posted. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys doing that. And again, I promise I will get back to you when I'm watching a movie or whatever tonight, putting my feet up, and I will make sure that I get back with you guys, okay? If not, it will be tomorrow, but I promise I will answer any questions that are on here tonight. Okay? Don't forget to join the group. You're welcome to share this as much as you want. Anybody that wants to do the watch party over in the group, I would greatly appreciate it. I appreciate that. If I see 50 of them, I'll probably delete some of them. No big deal. But definitely do the watch party for some of my oldies but goodies. Definitely do a watch party over in the group so they can catch this live too. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.